I'm Christine Cornels, and welcome to our town, the City of Falls Church. We're delighted to have you with us today. I get to have a workout with one of our local entrepreneurs. You'll be able to meet him and several of our other Falls Church residents who wear many hats and move in many different directions. So we're glad to have you with us, and enjoy the show. Here we are with personal workout trainer Vincent Morrow, where he comes to train some private clients at the Oakwood Apartments in Falls Church.
I cater to my clients' needs and to my new clients, whatever works for you. I can come to your house, I can come to your place of business, I can come to a hotel, wherever you need me, I can be, and we can work around that. And
so you work with the equipment, like we've got certain pieces of equipment here at the Oakwood Apartments.
Absolutely.
It's very specific. And then
yeah, there's plenty of equipment here. This is a shoulder press.
Where does that?
Yeah, it's going to primarily work the deltoids. Yeah, so the deltoids have three major muscles: the anterior, medial, and posterior deltoid. This gets pretty much all of them. There's two different handles right here that you can see. There's one here, one here. You can
get you kind of slightly different.
Exactly. So if you grab the front ones, you would sit down. You grab the front ones, it's going to get a little more of your anterior deltoid, so right in the front. You grab the back ones like this, it's going to get a little more medial and posterior, but still getting some of the anterior as well. So the major, that ball part of your shoulder. Your seat height is important. So what you want to do is set the seat height based on these handles. So the seat height should be, that's a little high maybe, just because, I think 3 is actually pretty good for you. Because where you want it is you want this to be just above your shoulders. Now what you want to also remember is keep your elbows right underneath the handles at all times. Wow. If your elbows stay back like that, you're going to risk hurting your shoulder joint.
I can already tell. I know that I've probably been doing them wrong.
Yeah, so you want to go straight up and straight down. Don't let your elbows wing, because you use a little leverage and then you also can hurt your rotator cuff. So take a deep breath in, and then as you push, you're going to exhale out. So in, and then right before you push, exhale out, come up. Now, right before your elbows lock, don't lock the joint. Never want to lock the joint because you can hurt that joint by locking it. Plus, the muscle rests, and you don't want the muscle to rest. You're trying to strain the muscle right now. Generally recommended that when you're exercising, any sort of exercise, every 15 minutes, have about 2 to 3 ounces of water. You want to stay hydrated because, yeah, absolutely.
That reminds me. Let me grab my.
You got yours here?
I do.
Good time to take a sip. You haven't had one
That's
in
a lot of water, actually.
Yeah. But you'll feel your body should need it. If you feel like you don't need it, then you might not be working out hard enough. Your body should tell you, but if you don't feel like you need to drink, just take smaller sips because you just want to have some hydration.
Just have it all throughout the
workout. Absolutely.
Vinny, thank you so much for that workout.
You're absolutely welcome. You did a great job, and I told you I'd make you sweat.
You did. You made me work very hard. And how can other people contact you if they'd like to get your services?
That's a great question. The best 2 ways are my cell phone, which is 703-626-2453, or my email, which is 5fitness@gmail.com. Spell out the word 5, F-I-V-E, fitness@gmail.com.
Great, and you talked in there about moving in different directions, and I know you wear many different hats.
Oh yeah.
What are some of those?
I work actually part-time for Virgin America Airlines. Obviously I'm a fitness trainer, but I work part-time for them, which segues into my passion and my love of acting. So the airline job allows me to fly out to the West Coast, do auditions if I need to, have the free flight benefits. Oh, it's so great. And then, like I said, it allows me to pursue my acting, which is a passion of mine.
And you performed recently, too.
Yeah, that was fun. We did a performance live, actually local in D.C., and I performed with some other people from Falls Church. Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And I take acting lessons here in Falls Church as well, and it all ties together really nicely.
Vinny, thank you so much. We're glad to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me. It was a pleasure.
Yes, Vinny Morrow wears many hats as a workout trainer, working for the airlines, and recently playing Elliot Ness as one of the characters talked about in a book about Illinois, written by Falls Church resident Mark Rhodes. We recently caught up with Mark Rhodes at the Eden Center in Falls Church. I'm here with Mark Rhodes, a resident of the City of Falls Church. Mark, so glad to have you on the show.
Glad to be here.
And how long have you been living in the City of Falls Church?
I moved here in the fall of 1984, so almost 30 years next year.
Wow, so you know a lot of what's going on in the area. What brought you to the City of Falls Church?
I moved out here to take a job as an editorial writer for the Chicago Sun-Times in their Washington, D.C. bureau.
So you were supporting what was going on in Illinois.
Yes, and
but
I
doing it
loved it
from-
because I had a 1-hour time advantage over Chicago, giving me more time to meet my deadline.
So you know how to write very quickly then.
Yeah.
And we're here at the Eden Center, where I understand it's kind of the center of commerce for a lot of people, a lot of immigrants who came to the United States after the Vietnamese
Yes,
War.
it's a very unique center because this is one of the few places in the world where the flag of South Vietnam flies next to the American flag. There's very interesting, a lot of diversity here, many interesting restaurants, jewelry stores, record stores, and it's just quite a different culture, only a few feet walking distance from my apartment at the Oakwood Apartments.
That's one thing that's wonderful about the City of Falls Church, is there's so much to offer within just a short radius.
They call it a small little city of only 2 square miles, but there's a great deal of interesting things going on in this city.
So when people come here to the City of Falls Church from all around the United States, so say they come from their home states and they want to stay in connection with what's going on,
I've got
what
a
are some of
cure
the
for that.
options?
I've
Oh,
got
yeah?
a cure for that. Starting about 150 years ago, people from various parts of the country formed state clubs in the Washington, D.C. greater area that are now called state societies.
Okay.
They're very involved in inauguration activities every 4 years, and every year they're involved in sponsoring the Cherry Blossom Festival, which is a Washington signature event.
I've been to that festival, and I highly recommend it for those who haven't to come down to participate. And I understand there's a connection between the Cherry Blossom Festival and the City of Falls Church. What is that?
Well, about 10 years ago, we brought the Japanese cherry blossom queen here to Falls Church to plant a flowering cherry tree in the yard in front of the Falls Church Public Library, and it can be seen now every April in full bloom. It's beautiful.
Oh, how wonderful. I didn't realize that. I'm going to have to go check it out. And what has your participation been in the Cherry Blossom Festival? Because I have
Well,
seen you speak there as well.
Yes, I have been chairman of the lantern ceremony that usually kicks off the festival week. It's down on the tidal basin near the paddle boat dock, and it's a 350-year-old Japanese stone lantern that was moved here in 1954.
It's beautiful, and that's another treasure, I think, actually, in the DC area. And so for the Illinois State Society that I know you're actively involved in, having come from the Chicago area, you wrote a book about the history of the State Society. Share about that. What is that
I did.
book?
The Illinois State Society is the oldest of the state clubs. It was founded in 1854 when Franklin Pierce was president of the United States. And it was sort of comical because it was originally called the Illinois Democratic Club of Washington City, but when Abe Lincoln came into office, it suddenly overnight became the Illinois Republican Club, because in those days the members were government clerks who were not civil servants, and they wanted to stay on the good side of any party that was in the White House.
Right.
And I've written a book called Land of Lincoln, Thy Wondrous Story. It's a sort of a authorized biography of the Illinois State Society over a period of 158 years.
And what sort of stories are in here? Maybe give us a couple examples.
Well, my primary source was old newspaper clippings from the Washington Post and the Washington Evening Star. In those days, those newspapers covered these clubs as news. It was sort of the C-SPAN of its time. It's where you tried out public policy ideas. So the reporters used to routinely cover these meetings in great detail, and you would learn a lot about the lifestyle of Washington at the time. There was no TV or radio, of course,
Right.
and most people lived in the city rather than in the suburbs, and they would use the streetcar to get around. And their social outings were often these state societies, which continued right into the 20th century when the state societies were the primary places where you went to for dances, especially during World War II when the dances were hugely popular.
So if I were to read this and learn about Illinois, kind of what sort of messages would you like me to walk away with and
Well,
better understanding the state society and how it supports?
Washington has become such a partisan atmosphere. The purpose of the state societies is to unite people on a nonpartisan basis, just to be a booster club for their states, to be interested in the sports teams, the universities, the cultural and social traditions of their state. And it's a wonderful break from the partisanship that you often find on Capitol Hill.
It must be a breath of fresh air, actually.
Oh, it
to
absolutely
experience
is.
that.
It absolutely is.
And speaking of that, we will be bipartisan as we visit two local Falls Church government officials, Tom Clinton and Dave Snyder. And I'd like to introduce you to Tom Clinton. Tom, thanks so much for joining us on the show. Tom, if you could explain to the residents what your position is with the City of Falls Church and what you do.
I'm the Commissioner of Revenue for the City of Falls Church. It's an elected position, and primarily we assess taxes on both businesses and residents. But we don't do, in Falls Church, we don't do real estate.
Okay.
So,
and that's different than other communities?
Yeah, a lot of communities, it's one shop kind of taxing, which kind of makes it sense. So you just go to one person, he does real estate, cars, business taxes. And some of the more urban and suburban places, that's done by a civil servant, someone on the city staff. So I would do meals taxes, business license taxes, car taxes, hotel taxes, a variety of kind of business and citizen type taxes.
And if you're elected every 4 years, how many elections have you gone through now then?
I've been elected 3 times. The first time it was contested, and the last 2 I've been unopposed. And it's on the same cycle as the governor. So if you know the governor is about due up, then the Commissioner of Revenue and the Treasurer and the Sheriff, all 3 of us are on the same ballot. And then in Falls Church, we share the Commonwealth's Attorney and the Clerk of the Court with Arlington.
Oh,
so,
I didn't realize
that. We're so small that we couldn't get one of those of our own, so we share with Arlington.
Sure, well,
which is nice.
Makes a lot of sense.
You know, they come over and they, walk our streets and knock on doors, and so that's nice.
Well, there's a lot that you're doing for the residents of the City of Falls Church. Do you feel like, do people recognize that, or do they ever understand kind of what you're trying to do?
It's, and I grew up here, so like it's like, and I have kids in the school system. I'm a product of the school system, so I felt I was very fortunate to have grown up here. And so to me, it's just like giving back. It's like building community. And so, I've had some initiatives that I think have respected people's time and money and just the lifestyle that we have here. And one of the things that I've done is I started the DMV Select office, which is a lighter version of a DMV, and it's right in our city hall. And we can do a lot of transactions there. We can't do driver's licenses and renewals, but titles, registrations,
so that's under your
changes.
purview.
Yeah.
That was because of you. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, what's one thing you wish the City of Falls Church residents knew or understood about their government that they might not know about?
Well, I think how much they pour over each budget and almost every dollar. I mean, it really, nobody likes to raise taxes, and it's an expensive area, and I think there's a lot of work sessions. If you ever went to them, and I go to most of them, they really pour over each budget, each item. Can we be more efficient, respecting the taxpayer? I mean, and a lot of it, half of our budget goes towards schools. So then if you don't have kids in school, that makes kind of a harder bridge to make, that this upholds real estate values and makes it desirable, and it'll kind of come back to you in the long run. But obviously, if you're here for kids and you're very passionate about it, we have a lot of people that are drawn for that reason only. But we think we're a really nice community for all ages.
It certainly seems that way to me. Tom, thank you so much.
Sure.
Thank you for your service
welcome.
to the community, and thank you for joining us
Thank
on
you.
the show.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
And this is Dave Snyder, who is Vice Mayor and is on the City Council of our City Council. And I want to introduce you to Dave and hear a little bit more about his experiences on the City Council and any messages you might like to communicate with the citizens of the City of Falls Church.
Well, just that this is a great community. It's really unusual to have a self-contained independent city in a major metropolitan area like this. And the city has a lot of history. It was settled by Europeans in 1699. There's one place in the city where you can look at the Falls Church, which we were named for, that dates back to 1760. And the Declaration of Independence was read from the steps of that church in the summer of 1776.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
And this was an area with major Civil War activity, an area where there has been a lot of activity in the post-World War II era, and Ike Eisenhower stayed here when he was working at the Pentagon before he led the invasion of North Africa. So there's a lot of history in these 2 square miles. And it's a really unique community based upon citizen involvement, citizen input. It's really a citizen-driven government. And the citizenry, frankly, is just an incredible group of people. You get these resumes in for your boards and commissions, and any employer would fall over themselves to hire these people. And they're senior Foreign Service officers, people that have worked
With experience all over the world.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
and in all kinds of businesses. So it's an exciting place, and it's a great honor to be a public official in this kind of an environment. It's one of the, I think, one of the truly unique places in America.
Wow. Is that what drove you in particular to get involved with the government?
You know, that it's interesting. I've always, I guess my parents were deeply involved in politics and in local government work, and you sort of inherit that. But we came here for a lot of the same reason other people do. You like the small town environment, you like the good schools, you like the great location. The metro is walkable, for example. So, and then as I got involved with the community, you get to know more and more of the individuals here, and that's really the richness of the place is the people. So I tell people then when I'm travel internationally in connection with my job or in political gatherings of one kind or another, you should be as lucky as I am to have the constituency that I have to represent.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, how do you stay in touch with the residents of the City of Falls Church?
Well, it's not really hard. We go, there are loads of meetings and get-togethers, and I make a point of going to as many of those as I can. The farmers market on Saturday, I'll usually go there and just talk to people. And of course, there are the electronic means as well, which I use, and we've got a local newspaper and the more formal ways of communication. But again, one of the strengths of a small town, small city like Falls Church is that you can really know people one-on-one. You don't have to just know them through email or through electronic communications.
You see them every day as you're going about your business. Yeah.
So it's not hard to figure out where they are. And they're also, though, very polite because our phone numbers are listed right on the website. And I want to get calls from people who really, really care about something. So it's just proven to be a very positive honor for me over the last 20 years.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah, and I understand, I think you're an EMT as well?
I do that, yeah. I started in high school and I still do it, so I am a first responder. I've also done a lot of work with the Council of Governments. I'm a firm believer in the importance of regionalism, whether it be in transportation or emergency preparedness or in air quality environmental issues. And I've been honored to serve in various positions chairing boards at the regional level that deal with all of those issues. So that's a part of what we do. Falls Church has been a charter member of Metro. We've long believed in regional approach to things, and I think more and more that's the level of government that we really need to focus on to get things done.
Well, Dave, thank you very much for your service, and thank you for your time on the show as well.
Absolutely. Thank you for the opportunity.
And now we will join our town's very own restaurant reviewer, Daria Finley, at Viet Royale at the Eden Center.
Welcome to Viet Royale.
Xin chào. My name is Daria, and welcome to Dining with Daria. We're here at Viet Royale in Falls Church, Virginia. This establishment was created in 1990. Think of this as Vietnamese cuisine in a local neighborhood. You newcomers, let's go try some food. Oh, how pretty.
Yeah, it's pretty.
So can you tell me what this is in Vietnamese?
Bò lốc lắc.
Bò lốc lắc.
Yeah.
Thank you. I ordered shaky beef. I can't pronounce it in Vietnamese, but basically it is beef and water chestnuts, tomatoes, and onions. Or look how good it looks. Now it's time to take a bite. Mmm. Oh, I can't forget about the coconut shake. Yep, still coconutty. Misa yellow bee.
Yeah.
Misa yellow bee.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, it's great. Misa yellow bee.
Awesome. Right?
Yeah. Misa yellow bee. Tell me, what are the contents? What's in here?
It's kind of like shrimp, scallop, squid, snow peas, Chinese broccoli, mushroom, and bell pepper.
Misa yellow bee is great to me.
Next, we visited Bedos Leatherworks in Falls Church. I'm here with Steve Dudaklian with Leatherworks. Thank you so much with Bedos Leatherworks in the City of Falls Church. Steve, thanks for having us.
My pleasure.
What kind of products do you provide services for? I mean, I see a lot of products around your place.
Basically, we do all sorts of footwear, shoes, boots, all sorts of travel wear, which are basically your suitcases, your briefcases, your handbags, and garment wear. Jackets, chaps, leather pants, all sorts of leather works we can take care of.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Absolutely.
And I saw something about 4 generations. I think you have a sign up there, quality craftsmanship for 4 generations.
My father, my grandfather, and my great-grandfather. We think it goes back one more generation, but that would be my mom's great-grandfather, but there's no way of tracing it back that far, so we kind of said, since we can prove 4 generations, let's stick to that.
Okay,
So-
and so they've been working with leather. Where were they at the time?
We are Armenians. We immigrated from Armenia, and in 1970, actually we're from Armenia. We immigrated to Lebanon. From Lebanon, we immigrated to here. So originally Armenian from Armenia, and then from Lebanon we came here.
Great. And was
Yeah.
it your father that started this particular store?
My father, Bedros, is his first name, Bedros, Bedros. That's like Peter in English, basically, or Pedro. But his customers nicknamed him Beto, so he stuck with Beto
It's
Shoe
easier for them
Repair.
to
Exactly,
pronounce,
right?
I guess, yeah.
So after a while, we were doing more than shoes, so we said, let's change the name to Beto's Shoe and Luggage Repair. But it came a time where we were just doing more than that, so we had to come up with something that kind of generalized everything. So Leatherworks kind of made sense. So Beto's always, we kept with Beto's, that's not going to change. It's a Beto's Leatherworks. So we came in '77 from Lebanon. We were escaping civil war, basically. We were there for 2 years. We came here. My dad had 5 kids, had 4 boys and 1 girl. So what was he going to do? Had no money, not knowing the language, not knowing how the way U.S. works. He opened up a small little shoe repair shop, which was down the street about 4 blocks, and that was 35 years ago. So.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
fantastic.
so that's
And now
pretty
his
cool.
son is.
Yeah, so I'm
running
the
store.
5th child, so I'm the youngest one, and he always said, "Why don't you get an education, go to college, and do whatever you want to do?" I'm like, "This is what I want to do. I love this, you know." So
Wow.
he's like, "Okay, if you want to do it, that's fine with me." So I love the business. This is what I do every day. It never gets old for me.
I can tell. You just
Absolutely.
light
Yeah.
up and talking
Oh,
about
yeah,
it.
absolutely. We have purchased some shoes in the past, either from Goodwill or on eBay, just to have a sample, like before and after. For example, these are a pair of nice Alden shoes. So this is what it used to look like. And we did a full sole and a heel job, and after. So when customers come in and say, "Well, what's your work look like?" Because we have a payment in advance policy. Some people say, "Well, I haven't seen the work, how can I pay for it?" Well, some of these samples that we have here, we show them, this is what it used to look like, and this is what it looks
This is
like
where
now.
the worn sole. I noticed
Absolutely.
the seam too. It's
Yep,
even
absolutely.
been
They're just
repaired.
stitching right there. So this is a lady's shoe. Basically, the rubber sole is worn out, and we replaced it with new Vibram soles. It's just a little rubber protectant to make them last a long
How
time.
much does it add to the life of a shoe? I mean, I guess each shoe is different, but what does
Well,
this do for
if
the
it's a
life of
good
shoe?
quality shoe, it should last you many years to come. All they need to do is take care of them, just like with everything else. You got to get them
Yeah.
clean and polished once in a while. But basically, with something like this, I would say at least 3 to 4 years of wear before the soles wear down. At least. These are very durable soles. And again, with men's shoes, if you buy good quality shoes, once every maybe 2 years you can have them resoled. You can probably resole them about 4 or 5 times. If you multiply that for how many years, about a good 10
Oh, that's
years,
fantastic.
it should last you a long time. So, and this right here is a belt we made for a customer. She
Oh,
had
that's
she had a
beautiful.
woven belt basically, and it was a little bit too small, or maybe it shrunk on her, as we usually say,
Yes.
you know. So we put this leather.
I've had that happen.
It happens sometimes. We also make handbags. This one I made for my wife. She doesn't use them much because I keep it here to show some samples to customers. But you
Oh,
know,
that's
but we
beautiful.
always say, whatever your imagination is, we can kind of follow you. You know, you just have to
Right.
kind of give us the idea.
So you do make custom gifts?
Absolutely,
on occasion.
we'll make any custom handbag, belts. The only thing we don't make are shoes. Basically, it's just a different story. You know, with the shoes, it's like repairing cars and making cars. They're both cars, but it's a total different business. This
Okay.
basically was where we do all the shoe repair.
Oh, wow.
And these right here are ready to be resold. They're half done, so we're getting there slowly but surely. This is one of our stitches right
Wow, that machine
It's-
looks like it's been here
there. Yeah, it's
for a while.
approximately, I would say approximately 60 years old plus. It's all steel. I mean, there's no lightweight about it. It's about 800 pounds, and it works like a champ. Basically, it stitches once the sole is on here, of course.
Okay.
You know, if the sole's
Yeah,
right.
I've never seen one of these
Yeah, if the
before. I
sole's
didn't know
on there
this
like
works.
that, and that stitches the sole onto the shoe.
Great. And these are pictures of your sons?
These are my sons. So this is Anto, he's 6, and this is Stefan, he's 8. So hopefully we're looking at the future fifth generation. So again, if they want to do it, wonderful. If not, it's okay. It's not a problem.
That's fantastic. Well, they look darling.
Thank you.
Do they spend time with you here in the
Oh yeah,
shop?
Saturday, Stefan's with me here from 7 in the morning to 1
Wow.
o'clock in the afternoon. And he loves to come here. You know, he's awake before I am. He's like, when are we going? When are we going? So, yeah, he loves just, both of them are very good with their hands already. You can usually tell when kids are kind of creative, you know, they want to make stuff. So they have that in them already. But again, when they get old enough, we'll see what happens.
So you're just providing them the venue to express that if they're
Exactly, absolutely,
interested. That's
exactly.
fantastic. Well, and I'm really excited because Steve gave me one of his Betos. I love leather t-shirts. I love it. So come to Betos with all of your leather-related repairs. To learn more about our town, Daria Finley and I met up at the Tenor Hill Arch, where Falls Church resident Ken Feltman told us about the history of the arch.
Now I want to show you something that's very important to me in Falls Church. This is, as it says here, the Tenor Hill Monument. But over here it tells us why it's here. This celebrates the first rural branch of the NAACP. So let's look at this, because it's a part of history that some of us want more information about, but some folks are uncomfortable with. In 1915, this became the first rural branch of the NAACP, right across the street here in Tenor Hill. Why? Because what was then the community of Falls Church attempted to enforce segregation, housing segregation. It didn't work, it couldn't be implemented, but that residue remained. And finally, in 1999, this monument was built. There were people in the community who resisted building it. They said it wasn't necessary. Well, it's here. And it's a monument to the perseverance of many people, black and white. And it's also a reminder that many of the folks on Tenor Hill fought on the Union side and some on the Confederate side in the Civil War. Maybe we can finally, with this arch, end the division. Maybe this will bridge the gap. Those who forget their history repeat it.
You know, Ken, I've been up and down this street so many times and never noticed this monument. So, thank you for providing this information.
Yeah, thank
You're
you,
welcome.
Ken. Appreciate
You're
it.
welcome.
I think it's fascinating.
David Snyder has a quote of Abraham Lincoln on his website that says, "I am a firm believer in the people. If given the truth, they can be depended on to meet any national crisis. The great point is to bring them the real facts." I like that. I also like another quote of Abraham Lincoln's that says, "Let no feeling of discouragement prey upon you, and in the end, you are sure to succeed." In this episode, we once again have celebrated our City of Falls Church by sharing with you some real and interesting facts about our town's residents and entrepreneurs and historic achievements. Their success has made our town, our land of Falls Church, a wonderful place to live. else you'd like to share with the residents of the City of Falls Church?
If you don't live here, move here.
Oh, that's great. That's wonderful.